If you love podcasting as much as I do, you may be considering starting your own. Starting a podcast has been one of the best decisions I have ever made, but getting started can feel overwhelming. Buzzsprout is the easiest and most professional way to start a podcast. Buzzsprout has helped over 100,000 people launch their own podcasts, including me. Buzzsprout will launch your show on all of the major podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Play, to name a few. You also get a podcast website, audio players that can be dropped into other websites, and stats of who is listening, and so much more. Buzzsprout also publishes blog posts, podcasts, and YouTube videos every week. They are great tools and have useful information from expert podcasters. To start your own podcast and get a $20 Amazon gift card, follow the link in our show notes. This lets Buzzsprout know that I sent you, and it supports my show. Buzzsprout, the easiest way to start a podcast.
Crime, Wine, and Chaos contains adult language and graphic content. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey listeners, I'm Amber.
And I'm Naomi, and this is Crime, Wine, and Chaos. Intro.
God, we need to get on YouTube.
I'm kind of glad we're not on YouTube yet.
Oh, God. That's a lot of pressure.
It is a lot of pressure.
That's next, though. That's on my
too
list.
Much. That's too much. What is going on, sissy?
Well, what isn't going on? I've been up since 3 for funsies.
Gross.
It's super gross. I'm very tired. Just plunking away at all the things. What's going on with you?
Well, I really wanted to talk about First of all, I want to say I loved the episode when our other sissy was on with you. That was amazing.
Oh my God, wasn't she good?
She was so good. Okay, basically at this point, you've got both your sisters, your daughter, your man, and your cousin have been guests on your show. We're basically the Partridge family of podcasting at this point.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
I'm into it. I'm totally into it.
I'm
also,
totally into it too.
Speaking of Jade being on, I also want to comment because that was, the most recent episode I listened to. I would like to take a moment just to really celebrate a milestone, or I should say a record that you have set on your show for number of times the word penis was said in one episode.
Great.
Mm-hmm. That's a bar. That's a bar to clear. That is a bar worth clearing again.
I'm going to try and weave it in to today's episode.
Just say penis.
Yeah, just randomly. No, I'm going to try and it'll be a smooth transition.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what she said. Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. She did a great job. I was laughing so hard. I'm like, I don't know what you are Googling, but I thank you.
Yeah, no, that was fantastic.
Yeah, it was good.
Super fantastic.
Oh man.
So I'm loving this family affair we've got going. It's pretty amazing.
Same.
What are you drinking tonight?
Oh, thank you for asking. Well, I'm actually drinking a white because I opened a white yesterday to make a white wine sauce with my pasta. It's a La Nostra Vittoria. The Nostril? No. La Nostra Vittoria. It's a 2019 white from Italy. It's a pinot.
That's great. I love that for you.
And you've got your water, I see.
I've got my water. It's
Good.
true.
I also have water.
Good. Stay hydrated.
Yeah. What else? You got anything for the good of the order? I think we both have some long ones today.
Yeah, I think we both have some meaty stories to get into. So I don't. I think we talked about what I wanted to talk about. We the Partridge family podcasting crew and the penis. Those are the two things I wanted to mention.
Well, yeah, we got that covered. The penis. Well, okay, I picked a case that is actually kind of popular, which I don't normally do, but I picked it because it is ripe for discussion specifically with you.
Oh, now I'm intrigued.
Well, Well, good. That's what you're supposed to be. Where do you keep going and why?
I'm sorry. Cat and door. Cats and doors. You know, they have this thing with doors.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
Okay. Are you ready? Do you need to go?
I am. No, because I have my earphones in now. So if he scratches at the door, I won't even hear him. Let's go.
Okay, great. I am going to tell you the case of Brooke Skylar Richardson.
Okay.
Does that ring any bells?
I mean, the dimmest, faintest of bells, but I listen to so many podcasts on murders and crimes. Yes, but no.
Okay,
keep
great.
Going.
Keep going. Okay, so Brooke Skylar, she goes by Skylar. She grew up in Carlisle, Ohio, population 5,336. That's pretty small.
That's a small town.
That's a small town. They're a tight-knit
Ohio?
community.
I'm sorry, Ohio?
Ohio.
Oh, okay.
In the southwest corner of Ohio.
Okay.
And people who grow up there never leave.
That sounds like Hotel California.
Well, you can't leave because I think something bad is happening, but sure.
Right. I mean, same, right? Anyway.
Okay. So this is where Skylar lives with her family, her mom, Kim, her dad, Scott, and her brother, Jackson. She is a member of the National Juniors Honor Society and a competitive cheerleader, and her family describes her as the peacemaker and someone who was genuinely happy.
Okay. She sounds like a go-getter. She sounds like she might actually make it out of this town.
Oh, I don't think so. No, I don't know.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
She sounds like someone who could make it out of the town.
So her mom, Kim, starts noticing that Skylar was hyper-focused on her weight as she came into her teenage years, and she was so obsessive that she would decline a piece of gum because of the 5 calories it contained.
Oh, for God's sakes, I chew gum all day, every day because there are only 5 calories instead of put more junk food down my gullet. Gum is my savior.
No kidding. So her parents take her to several doctors because she has developed an eating disorder. And because the disorder was clearly also not causing her to develop properly, mentally or physically. So she was, harming herself.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait, how old was she? I'm sorry, how old was she at this point?
It started in her teenage years, like early teenage years, like 14, 15, and kind of went on through high school.
Okay, so at some point in the midst of all this, they take her to the doctor, but we're not really sure at what point that was. Okay.
Right. In 2017, it's her senior year, and Skylar started dating Brandon. And her mom sees that the two are getting really close, and their relationship seems serious, so she makes Skylar an appointment to get on birth control.
Good mom.
Yeah, exactly. So Kim goes with Skylar to the appointment, but she stays in the waiting room. And when Skylar comes out, it's obvious that she's been crying. And Kim said that she didn't actually seem upset, just that her eyes were red from crying, but she didn't say why.
Why or what was going on?
No. What Kim doesn't know is that during this appointment, the doctor doesn't put her on birth control. Instead,
she's already pregnant.
Yeah. She's not just pregnant. She is weeks away from giving birth.
Oh, for God's sakes. And they didn't know because she hasn't been taking care of her body. So her baby isn't growing and her body isn't gaining weight. And so she's, did she know? She didn't even know she was pregnant.
She didn't know she was pregnant. No.
Oh, okay.
So her senior prom is just days away, and she was really excited to be going with Brandon. And so Kim and Skylar go shopping for a dress. Kim still doesn't know.
Oh, this is a secret still to mom. Only Skylar knows. Okay. Okay.
And she specifically wants a red dress. I wore a red dress to prom that was real fabulous.
I think my prom dress was red too. No, I'm thinking of homecoming. No, I think it might have been prom. I definitely wore a red dress to one of my fancy dances. With
a red dress
Casey.
is always it's always a go, Yeah.
100%.
So Kim does notice that Skylar is putting on weight, and she's worried that if she continues to put on weight, she won't fit into this red dress that they just bought. So in the days leading up to prom, Kim even sends Skylar a text that says, quote, "Watch what you're eating so you can fit into that dress."
No.
I know. No, it's real fucking bad, Kim.
Oh, no.
I know. You've got a child with an eating disorder, and what are you doing?
And even if she didn't fit into the dress, is that the end of the fucking world?
I don't know. I don't know.
We run and get another dress. We find a fix. Like what?
I know.
Okay.
So Skylar goes to her prom and she has a miserable time. She tells Brandon that she has really bad cramps, but what is actually happening is that she is in labor.
Of course she is.
Mm-hmm. The following night, Skylar is home with her family. It's late at night and everyone is asleep when she wakes up to horrible pain. She goes into the bathroom and delivers her baby.
Yep.
Skylar later said that the umbilical cord wasn't attached and the baby, who she names Annabelle, wasn't breathing and didn't have a heartbeat. So she wraps Annabelle in a towel and goes downstairs into the garage. She gets a shovel.
Oh.
Goes out to the backyard and buries Annabelle.
I am speechless.
Should I keep going? Do you need a minute? Do you want to get up and walk away again and check on your cat?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. I'm okay. I just, every once in a while, I am rendered speechless. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Because we don't know. We're just Taking her word on this, right? We're just taking her word on all of this. This mentally ill, struggling teenage girl who is clearly in denial about this pregnancy. We're just taking her word for it that the baby was stillborn and there was no umbilical cord.
Right.
Okay.
So 2 months later, she goes back to the same doctor for birth control. Mm-hmm. There are several points in this story where her age is very apparent.
Well, and also, wait a minute. What did the doctor to ask her about the baby that she was supposed to have had?
Yes, this is where the trouble starts. So
okay,
she goes back to the same doctor, and the doctor asks Skylar what happened to the baby, and Skylar tells her the truth.
Oh, what does she think, that she had some sort of like confidentiality with the doctor that would leave her without being in trouble, or?
We'll get to that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So the doctor is obviously a mandatory reporter, and so
yes,
she takes that information to the police. And in July of 2017, the Warren County Sheriff's Office opens an investigation and brings Skylar in for questioning. Her dad goes with her, but still her parents don't know. They don't even know why she's going there.
Right.
And at this point, Skylar's 18, so dad waits in the waiting room while Skylar goes in to be interviewed by herself.
So he's just sitting in the waiting room at the police department while his recently 18-year-old daughter is taken back to an interview room with police officers and has no idea why he's even there. Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Yeah. And Scott asks the detectives before she goes back, does she need an attorney? And they say no. There's several things that are fucked with this case, but
it just starts fucked and just continues to be fucked every step of the way here. Okay.
Yeah. So she gets into the interview room and the investigators, there's two. There's a man and a woman, and they're kind of doing like good cop, bad cop, right? Mm-hmm. And they tell Skylar that her doctor called them. And then they proceed to read her Miranda rights. So Skylar starts crying and says that she didn't want her parents to know because they would be disappointed. And she tells the detectives that she didn't kill her baby, that she only buried her. And she repeatedly asks the detectives if she's going to jail, and they tell her no.
But they read her rights. So at some point, as they're reading her rights, she knows that she could ask for an attorney, right?
I don't think she does. Yeah, it says that in there, but when your anxiety is through the roof and you're 18 years old and mentally not 18, probably,
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Mm-hmm.
So the female officer in the room assures Skylar that they're just getting information. And Skylar tells the detectives that she wanted to bury her baby in the backyard so that she could put flowers there. And they ask her several times if she killed Annabelle, and Skylar repeatedly says that there was no sign of life when she was born. So when you watch this interrogation, like, the impression that I got is that, to me, Skylar really seems like, in her mind, it's like she buried a pet and she didn't know she wasn't supposed to do that. She was like, yeah, my baby died, so I buried her. Like, truly doesn't understand.
She's not okay.
She's not okay. You're correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's not okay.
Mm-hmm. At some point while waiting, Scott calls his wife, Kim, and the detectives go out to the waiting area and they inform Scott and Kim of what's going on with Skylar, and they are in shock.
Well, yeah.
Can you imagine?
No, I cannot imagine. I feel like we do this vaudeville routine a lot. No, you and I do this routine a lot. Can you imagine? No, I cannot imagine.
Do you want to try to imagine with me now?
I can't even try to imagine. No.
Yeah. So they take both of the parents back into the room to talk to Skylar, and later on, the parents said that they didn't realize they were being recorded.
Okay, what is wrong with all these people in this story? Come on now. Everybody knows you're being recorded at all times in those rooms.
I don't know. Population 5,000. 2017.
Oh, for God's sake.
I know.
But they have television. Come on. They have TVs. Have they never watched a show? Okay, sorry.
I know. We'll see this. There's a lot of,
Okay.
A lot of feelings in this one. So both of her parents immediately tell Skylar that she should have told them. Her mom says kids get pregnant and have babies every day. It's not a big deal. Her mom also tells her that a neighbor called her and told her that their house has been taped off and investigators are digging in the backyard.
Well, yeah. They're looking for a dead baby back there.
They're looking for a fucking baby. Yeah. I can't even imagine. So Skylar's freaking out and telling her mom, she's like, don't say that. And her mom also asks her if she killed the baby, and Skylar says that she did not. And Kim says, they're going to do an autopsy, and if they confirm that the baby was alive at birth, you will go to jail.
Yep.
So at this point, while they're sitting in the police station, it's been 9 weeks since Skylar buried her baby. But investigators are able to find all of the remains. And the coroner inspects the bones, and she says that there was charring evidence on the bone.
I'm sorry, what? Okay.
Suggesting that there had been a fire there.
Yep. Okay. So she wanted to cremate the baby before she buried it?
Oh my God, you're so good. But, well, we'll get to this. This case has a lot of twists and turns.
Okay.
Buckle up.
I'm holding on. I'm holding on. My little bit of a white knuckle over here right now, but it's okay. Keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
So detectives are notified of this. And so they have a second interview with Skylar without an attorney again and without her parents again. And the female detective this time is holding Skylar's hand. And again, they ask her if her baby was alive at birth. And Skylar says no. They ask if she heard any kind of gurgling. She says no. And after repeatedly being asked about whether or not the baby was alive, Skylar says, maybe I squeezed her too hard.
I'm sorry, what?
Like when she took her from the bathroom into a towel, maybe she squeezed her too hard.
Okay.
That's what she says.
All right.
And then also she says later that maybe she did hear some gurgling and maybe she saw the baby's arms move a little.
Oh, okay, but we don't know, like, we're getting like the Cliff Notes version of this interrogation. Mm-hmm. We also know how easy it is and how common it is for long, drawn-out police interviews to change a person's story over time to fit the narrative they want to hear from them.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And she's very young and has no attorney. And
yep.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
So the investigators then ask Skylar to tell them about the burning. And she's like, what burning? So they tell her that Annabelle's remains had been burned. And she said she didn't do any burning. Later on, she did say that her dad liked to have bonfires in the backyard. And at this point, Skylar is sobbing and telling them that she didn't burn her baby. And they continue to press her about the burning. And finally, the female detective says, maybe you thought it would be a good idea to cremate her so that you could have some ashes. There's a lot of suggestibility going on here.
A lot.
Yeah. And then later on, much later on in this same interview, Skylar says, I think I tried to cremate her.
Oh, for God's sake. Okay. This
Yeah.
is like textbook. This is textbook manipulative, like police interview tactics.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they ask her what kind of lighter she had. They were like, was it a small cigarette lighter or like a long barbecue lighter? And Skylar says she wasn't sure. But after being pressed, she eventually says it was a barbecue lighter. Then they ask her how big the fire was, and she says, I can't remember. So then they ask more specific questions like, was it up to your shin? And she says, maybe. And then they ask,
Oh my God. I can't. I cannot.
I know. I'm sorry.
This is like the West Memphis 3 all over again. This
It's
is
so bad.
Oh, it's so bad.
fucking
It's
bad.
so obvious.
Uh-huh. They just want to win. So they ask where on Annabelle's body did she light her, and Skylar says that she can't remember.
She can't remember because she's making things up as she goes to satisfy these fucking tormentors who've trapped her in this room until she tells them what they want to hear.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then she says that she quickly put the fire out because she knew it was wrong.
You know, it could have just been a case of a, for lack of a better word, stupid teenage girl making a stupid decision around a stupid thing that happened that was like, unfortunate. And they had to turn it into something so much more sinister and salacious.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what's going on here.
Uh-huh. Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
That's it. That's the name of the show. You're getting mad?
I'm so heated. I'm so heated.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So Skylar is arrested. And when the prosecution does a press release, he says, quote, she killed her baby, then burned her baby. And the public, of course, is fucking outraged.
They show up with pitchforks and torches and yep.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
So the news crews and drones are flying over the Richardson home. They're camping out, and people are taking to social media and calling Skylar Casey Anthony Part 2.
Oh, for God's sake.
I know. Okay. Are you mad yet?
I'm so fucking mad.
Are you ready to be madder?
Oh my God.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I really wanted to share this story with you, Naomi. I wanted to make you mad.
Well, we'll get there. I don't want to make you mad. I thought we could just have a healthy discussion. This is going way wrong. Okay.
No, I'm sure this is going exactly the way it's supposed to. Keep going.
Okay, so several months later, Dr. Elizabeth Murray changed her findings and said that she couldn't conclude that the baby was burned.
Okay, but damage done.
Skylar had already been charged with aggravated murder, and detectives said that they were dumbfounded that a forensic pathologist had made such a mistake. But the prosecution is confident that they can get the charges to stick anyway, so they go ahead with the trial.
Fucking what? Mm-hmm. Oh, when we say ACAB, we include prosecutors, just for the record.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So, at trial, the prosecutor encourages the jurors to take Skylar's word from the interrogation. Like, she admitted to all these things, so that's what we're working with. And her defense attorney, she's got a good defense attorney, and I like him. He opens and he says that Skylar's interrogation yielded a coerced confession and that the detectives put words in her mouth.
Yep.
The defense also says that the pathologist won't be taking the stand at trial because her findings were wrong. I love the quote from the pathologist. Dr. Elizabeth Murray said, quote, I ain't going to lie to them and I ain't going to lie for them. What?
I want that on a bumper sticker.
What are we even talking about?
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. The defense also stated that a baby is 80% water, and being able to light a baby on fire with nothing more than a lighter is scientifically impossible.
Yes.
Yeah. People you can't just light a body on fire.
No, it's not. No, you can't. In fact, when you find out, when there's those cases where like people's remains are found like burnt and to nothing, the person who has done that has like built up a giant like flaming pyre of a bonfire that they have stoked and tended to like all night long and into the morning or whatever, because you have to continuously keep the fire going. Otherwise the body doesn't burn.
No. No, you're exactly right. So they go on to say that this case is about a rush to judgment. During the trial, her boyfriend Brandon takes the stand, and he says that he had no knowledge of the pregnancy or the birth. Then the prosecution reads a text that Skylar had sent him the morning after she delivered her baby, and it said, quote, "I'll tell you about it later, but last night was like the worst ever, and I didn't go to sleep till 5:30. But I feel so much better this morning. I'm happy."
Oh.
Oh.
That's, wow. Okay. More like relieved is probably what she is. I mean, she probably didn't recognize it, but it was relief that she felt.
Right. Brandon testifies that at this time he had no idea what she was referring to, and he later learned about the baby and that he wasn't the father. It was a guy that Skylar had briefly dated before him.
Oh.
Yeah. I feel bad for Brandon.
No kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's like multiple reasons why she didn't want to acknowledge this pregnancy.
Yeah, but I think the biggest one is, can you imagine being a teenager and finding out that not only are you pregnant, but like all of your options have long since passed because you're weeks away from giving birth?
I know someone that happened to.
I know you do. That sounds terrifying.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. It's hard.
No.
9 months is enough prep time for an adult.
I mean, there's no prep time that's enough for anyone. No, there's never enough prep time for that. No. But also on top of everything else, and that she had to know at that point that it wasn't her current boyfriend's baby, right?
Well, I don't think because she hadn't even been with him long enough.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So like add that as another layer of like a reason to be in denial about this pregnancy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I know. Oh my God. So the lead Detective Fain, takes the stand for 2 days trying to defend his interrogation techniques.
Trying to defend his coercion techniques, you mean?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And the defense isn't having it. The defense points out that he and his partner used the word cremation multiple times before Skylar ever did.
Yep.
He also said that he refused to accept that Annabelle was stillborn, despite Skylar repeatedly telling them that her baby was not alive when she gave birth.
Mm-hmm. They wanted it to be murder, which is like, I don't know what's worse.
Right?
Like, seriously. Like, why couldn't it just be bad enough the way it was? Why did it have to be a murder and I don't know. Because they're small town cops with nothing better to do and they feel like they finally caught a quote unquote good case?
I guess. Yeah. Because it's getting, like national attention and.
Yeah. I mean, it's Casey Anthony 2.0. Yeah, I got you.
Yep. So in closing arguments, the prosecution reads the text messages that Skylar sent in the days after her delivery, the one that she sent to Brandon, and then another one that she sent to her mom from the gym. And it was a selfie with her shirt pulled up and a text to her mom that says, quote, "My belly is back. I am so happy." It's not a good look. But
she's not well.
No, and she's young. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
In closing arguments from the defense, they say that the prosecution stuck to the burning story, even though science disproves it, because they know that if Skylar wasn't telling the truth during that part of the interrogation, there would be reason to believe that she wasn't telling the truth during the part where she said she saw signs of life in Annabelle.
Yep.
So the jury goes into deliberation, and the charges that are being considered are aggravated murder, involuntary manslaughter, child endangerment, and abuse of a corpse. And if Annabelle was stillborn, then those first 3 charges are a no.
How are you charged with murder and manslaughter? Aren't those the same thing, just lesser versions? One's lesser version than the other?
Yes, I think those were their options. Those were their 3 options, but none of those are options if they believe that she was dead at birth.
Got it.
The only option they have at that point is abuse of a corpse.
Okay.
So after
and that's if you believe that she burned the baby? Or does the burying of the baby count?
The burying of the baby counts, which is kind of sad.
Yep.
So after only 4 hours of deliberation, the jury comes back with a verdict: not guilty on aggravated murder, not guilty on manslaughter, not guilty on child endangerment, guilty on abuse of a corpse.
Oh, good for them.
Mm-hmm. I know.
What's the sentencing span on that?
I'm going to tell you, because she was sentenced the very next day.
Okay.
At her sentencing the next day, she speaks publicly for the first time, and it was pretty underwhelming. It was just like, I'd like to say I'm sorry to everyone that I hurt, you know.
Yeah.
And the judge sentences her to 3 years probation and house arrest.
I mean, yeah.
And then her dad, Scott Richardson, addresses the court and asks if Annabelle's remains can be returned to the family for a proper burial. And the judge authorizes the return of Annabelle to the Richardsons' family. She is buried at a cemetery just a few miles from the Richardson home, and Skylar goes there regularly and puts flowers on her grave.
Your face, though. I mean, it's weird, right? It's weird.
What, putting flowers on the grave?
Yeah, I mean, her?
No, because I did watch her interrogation, and I believe that she legit gave birth to a stillborn and thought that that's what she was supposed to do. Like in the same way that you would if your dog died at home. Like, she seemed very confused about
what she did wrong,
why she was in trouble. And then she just told her doctor, like, oh yeah, I gave birth. She was dead. So, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I do. I do know what you mean.
So I feel bad for her because I think this was ignorance, not malice. I mean, it's bad ignorance.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, 100%.
Honeybee. I don't know.
I don't know, man. I hope that she's in the intervening years, like, gotten some better perspective on all that and grown up a little bit. This speaks to, like, you know, where was her birth control in the first place? Like, why didn't she? Well, of course she didn't know that she was pregnant because she had an eating disorder. So she probably had like a fucked up periods already if she was having them at all, because if her body fat was like really low, she might have gotten her periods might have stopped. So she would have no indication that way if there was something different going on with her body, you know? I just,
I know there's pictures of her in her fabulous red prom dress. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. This girl at 9 months pregnant is my size.
Right.
You know, I mean, she looked normal and healthy and just average sized at 9 months pregnant.
Right.
But her mom and see, that's the thing is like between her mom sending that text and then like why didn't you tell us? It's like, I don't know. Did you actually cultivate a relationship where she could tell you?
That was literally what I was thinking when when you were talking about that part. I was like, you know, clearly there is not like a culture of that going on in your family. Although I don't know though, because, you know, the friend of mine that went through this with her very young teenage daughter has always had like an amazing relationship with all of her kids and is like us, really open and, you know, really easy to talk to and like super chill and non-judgmental and all of that. And her daughter still didn't come and tell her.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know either. But then it's like, where were okay, so she comes out of the doctor's crying, but then like there's no follow-up, there's no like what birth, like she's still a dependent. Weren't you like, why aren't we going to the pharmacy and getting birth control pills? What kind of birth control did she prescribe to you? Like, what's the plan?
Right. Right. I mean, I don't know what the laws are in other states, but I know in Washington state, she doesn't have to disclose any of that. Like, she is like covered by HIPAA. Like, I think once you're over a certain age,
I think it's 13.
Once you're over a certain age, I think your therapy is protected by HIPAA, like your mental health type therapy, anything you want to do with any doctor, is basically behind closed doors if you want it to be. So, but still, yeah, I mean, if her mom's the one who took her and she went to get birth control, you would think that she would have at least told her which birth control she was on, or they would have had that conversation in some way.
Yeah.
And then her mom would have found out that she wasn't taking it, or maybe she just like hand waved it. Maybe she said, "Oh, I just got the shot." Because you can just get the shot. Maybe she just lied to her and told her she just got a depot shot.
Maybe. Yeah. Oh,
I don't know.
God. I feel bad. That's a rough one.
That was a rough one.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, that was rough, but like, that was good. That's, man, you guys talk to your kids about that stuff. Please.
No shit. No.
Talk to your kids. No shaming around sexual conduct, and make sure they know how to get birth control, and that, you know, getting pregnant is not the end of the world, and we can fix that. And, you know, there's way better solutions than hiding it. And oh my God.
I know.
Oh my God.
It's so bad. Ugh,
and I mean, yeah, me too. And also ACAB, obviously. I mean, this is the stuff that makes me my blood just boils, you know, I just can't.
I wonder how it's going to feel for her too, going forward. Like if she does want to have kids as an adult, which she is an adult now. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's gotta be weird, right?
It destroyed her emotionally, I'm sure. Like,
it's, you know, yeah, it had to have. Maybe that means she'll do things differently. Maybe she has a better relationship with her body now. I hope so. I hope things got better for her. And I
do too.
She healed some things. So
I do too.
Well, Sissy, that was, thank you.
You're welcome. I am just going to plug the sources into the show notes instead of rattling them off. That's going to be the new Jim Jam.
Oh, okay, great. I love that.
Okay.
The new Jim Jam. Okay.
The new Jim Jam. Mm-hmm. You got some chaos for me?
Oh, Sissy, have I got some chaos for you?
Oh, good. I love a good chaos.
Yeah, me too. Well, you know, I try to deliver, especially in the chaos department. It's kind of turning into my Jim Jam. So have you ever heard of Marvin John Heemeyer?
No.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you about him.
Please do.
Those that know him refer to him as Marv. We're going to call him Marv because that's easier to say than Heemeyer.
I think everything's easier to say than Heemeyer.
A lot of things are easier to say than Heemeyer. So we're going to talk about Marv today. Some people will know Marv better by his online moniker or by the title he's been given, which is Killdozer. Killdozer. And it's definitely concerning how many people in certain online circles idolize him.
Okay.
And just to stay with my, you know, my Jim Jam here. This is online libertarian circles.
Oh, so, good.
So that gives you a sense of where we're going. So today's story takes us to Granby, Colorado. Colorado. It depends on where you are and how I'm feeling. Do you say Colorado or Colorado?
I say Colorado.
It's kind of got that Florida kind of thing going on. Colorado. Okay. So we're going to Granby, Colorado. It's not a big town. I didn't look up the stats, even though I meant to, but it's not a big place. It's a small town. Marvin is an owner and operator of a muffler shop.
Okay.
He was born October 28th, 1951. He grew up in South Dakota. He joined the Air Force, where he discovered he had really good skills in welding and working on engines and motors. So when he was stationed in Colorado and then left the Air Force, he just stayed in Colorado. So he started working out of a muffler shop, and he quickly moved up in the shop because he was really good at it, and he picked it up real quick, right? Really good, quick learner, really good with his hands. And he decided, you know what, I could do this on my own. So he set up a few muffler shops, mostly in North Denver and then the Boulder area. And he started bringing in decent money running these muffler shops. So when he moved to Granby around 1992, that's what he did there too. He bought himself an inexpensive piece of property with 2 small cabins on it where he lived. And then he set up shop in town, and it was pretty successful. Everyone agreed that his work was excellent, and he had a reputation as being a very good welder. And Marv was also really well liked in town. Like, he was well liked when he moved there. He fit right in. He was an avid outdoorsman. His big love was snowmobiling.
Okay.
Which is like whatever.
I mean, Colorado, sure.
Yeah. So, you know, he was like, you know, he had like this big group of buddies and people that he would go snowmobiling with. Like, it was a thing. And he did a lot of like, he, you know, did some custom, like a lot of custom work for his friends to like put these big metal bumpers on their snowmobiles that like reinforced them and made them more heavy duty. And, you know, that was his thing. So
okay.
His muffler shop sat on 2 acres of property that he bought at an auction. So we're going to start getting into kind of what Marv says happened and what everybody else says happened.
Okay, but are you going to do an auctioneer voice?
I am not.
Oh, damn. Okay.
I am not an auctioneer. I respect, you know what I'm saying? Respect for a good auctioneer.
Same, hard same.
Yeah. So according to Marv, he pissed off another local businessman when he bought that piece of property for a shop. This guy named Cody Dochev, who owned Mountain Park Concrete. And Cody was looking for land with a building already on it that he could use to set up an indoor batch plant for his concrete business. So Marv claims that Cody was at the auction when Marv won the bid on that property. And afterwards, Cody came up to him and like cussed him out, right? Like for 10 minutes, yelling at him and cussing at him about it because he didn't get the piece of land that Marv got. But Cody, who was also there with a friend, both of them say to this day that never happened.
Oh, weird.
Like Marv's just making that up. So regardless, Marv believed that the town of Granby was run by an old boys club and he wasn't in it.
I mean, he's probably not wrong.
I mean, to some degree, he's probably not wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, aren't all towns run by an old boys club?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. So this property he operates his muffler business out of it only had an old concrete mixer tank that was holding that was for the sewage there. It was like this old, like it was not, you know, updated in any way. And the town wanted Marv to get connected to the town water and sewage system. So I kind of got the impression that maybe there was some kind of change in zoning law that all of a sudden required that property to get up to a code that it previously did not have to be at.
Okay.
I'm not totally clear on that, but it turns out that in order for Marv to connect with the main sewer line, he would have to pay to lay that line himself, right? Which a lot of people don't realize when that you do that, like you pay for all that plumbing to get laid.
It's really expensive.
And it can be really expensive. And his had to run like a few hundred feet, and that would cost him anywhere from like $60,000 to $80,000. And
Holy shit.
he was really pissed off about it, so he just refused. So this guy, Ron Thompson, he was on the sewage board, right? And the Thompson family is a wealthy working family in the Granby area with an excavation business that also owned a ton of property in town. And Marv blamed Ron for this whole water sewage situation. And he decided that Ron was doing this on purpose to fuck with him, right?
Oh, uh-huh.
So in 1998, there was a spot zone decision by the town council, and it deemed the property adjacent to Marv's muffler shop available for the kind of commercial use that Cody needed for his concrete business. So he puts in the requisite paperwork seeking approval, and Marv is not having it.
Oh.
He becomes the self-appointed unofficial spokesperson for the opposition in town to Cody's concrete batch shop. Okay. And he claims that his muffler shop will be downwind and the residential neighborhood surrounding the property will be negatively affected by noise and extra traffic. And what will this do to the water supply? And all these like concerns are raised about this concrete batch plant, right?
Okay.
But ultimately the town council approves the batch plant.
Ooh.
So, and this is like after like a bunch of town meetings, like
Sure.
many of them have happened, 4 or 5 of them happen. Marv is at every single one of them. He's standing, he's yelling, he's raising the concerns, you
Right.
know, like some of the citizens in the town are with him, but like, so anyway,
Anybody who's been to a council meeting has seen this guy. Like,
100%.
You're here again? Oh, okay.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. This is Marv. So Marv vows that he will keep fighting this, even though the town has approved it, right? Well, in the meantime, Marv is still in trouble for not connecting to the water sewer system, and he ends up in court where he receives a deferred judgment, which, you know, like that's fair, right? Like he got a little bit of a, like, you know, like he got
some more time to get compliant.
yeah, which is like, that seems like so that they're being reasonable with him, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But they tell him that he can't use the property in any way, shape, or form until he hooks up to the town water sewer, right?
Oh.
So he writes a check for this accumulating set of fines, right? And he writes in the memo line, "Cowards and Liars Department."
Okay. Did I ever tell? Yeah. You know this story. The first year that I was at the court, it wasn't in the memo line. It was made payable to the city asshats.
Which you can't cash that.
No, I took it back to the judge and was like, what should I do with this? And he's like, oh, you can give that to me. And then he sent a letter.
Oh, I'll take that.
Yeah, I'll take that. It was awesome, though.
Well, they ended up having to send it back to him because he wrote the wrong amount on the check.
Oh, your memo line is fine, but
You wrote the wrong amount.
Oh my God. Come on, dude. If you're going to take the time to put that in the memo. God.
Right? Get the amount right.
Get the amount right. Yeah.
You got to stick the landing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, he fumbled the landing for sure.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
So also now that Cody owns the property adjacent to the muffler shop, this is where it gets like really good. The water sewer line that Marv is being ordered to install requires an easement through the concrete plant property.
Uh-oh.
And Cody won't give it to him.
Oh, come on, Cody. Okay, so on the adjacent property, is Cody hooked up properly to water and sewer?
I don't know, but I'm assuming he must be.
Okay.
So at this point, Marv thinks the town is treating him unfairly because he's a transplant, right? You ain't from around here, right?
We don't like your kind here.
He's not in, you know? Mm-hmm. And just as Cody starts moving forward, setting up his concrete batch plant, Marv comes in with an attorney claiming he's caught Cody in a mistake.
Oh.
Right? He's got a gotcha. So he's going to derail Cody and his concrete batch plant. And it works. It works for a minute. Okay. So the town council takes a step back and pauses everything. And they start to like double and triple check everything that they've like gone through, you know, all the stipulations that they've required and all of the things they look at all, they are like recrossing T's and redotting I's because they want to make sure that they don't have any mistakes because they don't want to give Marv any more like cracks to right?
No, they got to reel that shit in tight.
Right. They got it tight. Right. They got to tighten it up. Got to tighten it up. So they start the whole process over from square one, right? And Marv files a lawsuit in district court. And in the meantime, the Jochefs they're just moving forward on the property as if none of this is going on. And Marv is watching them from his own property while they're just using heavy equipment and operating over there like business as usual.
Yeah.
And after a thorough re-examination of the plan, the town again approves Cody's batch plant.
Ooh. Okay.
9 months later, Marv's lawsuit is dismissed. And by this time, he's a good, like, $150,000 out of pocket on this fight.
Jesus Christ, he could have put in his fucking city sewer and city water for that.
Like, twice.
Twice. Yeah, oh, my God.
Yeah. And he wants to appeal. And his lawyer declines to support an appeal.
You're going to have new representation if you do that.
Yeah, and Marv decides that this means that his attorney never wanted to help him and was only there to take his money, which is ridiculous, of course, because if that were true, his attorney would have absolutely helped him appeal so he could keep raking in the dough in attorney's fees from Marv, right?
Right, yeah.
But his attorney knew the appeal would be denied and it was not worth the fight or the time or resources, right? Mm-hmm. But that's not how Marv sees it. Marv sees it as his attorney was just a shyster, okay, or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Okay. All of this anger and resentment and paranoia is building up in Marv, and he was obsessed. He was convinced all of these men were out to get him, snickering at him to his face. He claimed that he would see them snickering at him to his face when they would run into each other at the store or whatever. And so this was getting this was personal. Uh-huh. This was personal.
This was personal. Sorry. It's not funny. I mean, he's probably not wrong. It's like Okay.
So sitting in his hot tub one night.
Sorry. Uh-huh.
Weeping.
Oh.
He had a conversation with God.
Oh.
Quote, and a peace came over me and I knew God wanted me to do it. You picked on the wrong man. End quote.
Uh-oh.
And the reason we know all this is because Marv had documented all of these events and his feelings and opinions about them on a series of audio tapes. You might call it a recorded manifesto.
Oh no, he's audio tape guy? Come on.
Yes. Audio tape guy has a manifesto. So I'm giving you more road signs in the direction that we're going here.
All right. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
I was really rooting for him.
I know. So Marv's manifesto is one version, right? Many people in the town don't find his take to be accurate, however. The Thompsons, for example, are considered the hardest working millionaires in the county. Mm-hmm. They could live off the income from all the property that they own, and they could hire people to run their excavation business, but they choose to work, and they do it all themselves. And from what I could tell, these guys are just dorks. One of the, I'm not even kidding. One of the brothers has an extensive die cast collection of big construction equipment miniatures that he clearly builds and paints himself.
Oh, okay. Good for him.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
They aren't concocting some master plan to take down Marv. You know what I mean?
No, they're just trying to run their business well and do the right thing. And yeah.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
And by all accounts, Cody was also just another blue-collar guy trying to run a business and be successful. And I got the impression he hardly even thought about Marv, let alone was out to get him, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing that happens, though, right? Marv's over there spiraling out of control. I mean, that can be applied to so many things, too. These things that we get stuck on, that we get fixated on. It could be so many things. That person doesn't like me, or that person... They haven't thought about it once, and you have been stewing in it for who knows how long. Move on, Marv.
Rent free, right? Up in your head, rent free.
Yes. Yeah. God. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the Jochefs had even called Marv during the peak of this fight against the plant when there was when he had filed the lawsuit and all that. And they told him that they would give him the easement to connect the sewer main if he just dropped his lawsuit against them in the town.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
And he hung up on them.
Oh, okay, Marv.
Mm-hmm. And Cody had been trying to buy that property from Marv. He was trying to buy the 2 acres or whatever that the muffler shop sat on. So Marv set the price at $250,000, and Cody said, "Yeah." So Marv said, "Just kidding, $375,000."
Why, Marv? Why?
And then Cody said, "Okay." And then Marv backed out of the deal.
Marv, he's just fucking with them because he thinks they're fucking with him.
Yes, and Marv bought the muffler shop property at that auction for $42,000.
Okay, Marv, let's dial it down.
Mm-hmm. So if any of this was about the money he had spent fighting the town and the concrete plant, he would have made it all back and then some. But this wasn't really about the money, was it?
He's really stuck on the principle, or what he thinks is principle. And
that's right.
Dangerous when you're talking about civil suits and all the things. It's like at some point, who's actually losing here?
Yeah. So in the summer of 2002, Marv heads to an auction in California, and he buys himself like a big Mamma Jamma bulldozer, a Komatsu D355. This thing is huge. And he gets a really great deal, and he has it hauled back to Granby, like on a giant flatbed or however you haul a giant fucking bulldozer, right? And he parks it, the blade facing out right at the access road onto his muffler shop, facing the property of Cody's concrete plant.
Oh my God. That's super aggressive, Marv.
And he slaps a for sale sign on it.
Okay.
And so Marv's buddy, one of Marv's buddies, he claims it was 100% for the quote intimidation factor.
Okay. What?
Yeah.
What oh my God. Okay.
So then he shuts down his shop and he puts it all up to auction. All his equipment, the property, the dozer, all of it goes up for auction. And everything's sold except the dozer and the property. And Marv thinks that this is his sign from God.
Uh-oh.
That he is supposed to execute the plan that he's been concocting since that convo he had with God in his hot tub that one night.
Sorry. Oh, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Your face right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. What did God tell him to do?
Oh, you wait.
Okay.
So in the fall of 2003, he finally sells the muffler shop property for $400,000.
Well, good for you.
To the trash company. They needed a place where they could store all of their trucks at night and stuff. And he rents one of the buildings that's on the property back, like from the trash company. So he sells the whole property and then he starts renting a building on the property. And that's where he stores the bulldozer.
Okay.
So apparently the garage door on that shop, like whatever, that big garage door, was 1 inch wider than the widest point of the bulldozer. And he was able to just squeeze into the building with the bulldozer to park it, which was, of course, yet another sign from God that his plan was divinely inspired.
Oh my, that's just math, Marv. That's not God. Jesus Christ. But okay.
Yeah.
Wow. You can find signs anywhere if you're looking for them.
That's right.
Okay.
So then he gets to work and he practically lives in this outbuilding while he basically turns that bulldozer into a homemade tank.
Oh no.
He puts up security cameras around the building and he figures out the trash company schedule so he can work at night once they leave, and then he sleeps during the day while they're there. So no one finds out what he's up to, which is fortifying this dozer cage, the whole thing, with double layers of 1/2-inch sheets of steel filled in between with concrete.
And is he doing this inside the garage with 1 inch to work with? Or is he pulling that fucking thing out at night?
No, it was 1 inch into, like, the door was 1 inch, but the building was bigger.
Got it. Okay.
Right.
Wow. So he's just in there in his little cave, Unabomber style, just concocting shit.
Yep. Building.
Okay. Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So June 4th, 2004, Marv dozes right out of the side of the shop and heads straight for the concrete plant.
He busts the wall down like Kool-Aid Man?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And he starts knocking down the walls of the batch plant building.
Oh, God.
With this giant fortified bulldozer.
Jesus Christ, Marv.
So Cody and some of his guys try to stop this thing somehow, and they shoot at it, and then they try to jam up the treads with a big steel rod, and Cody tries to climb on top of it, but the whole exterior is covered in like Vaseline or grease or something, and so he's like sliding right off of it. He can't even get a hold of anything, and nothing is stopping this thing. The cops show up. They also try shooting at it, and it's just pointless. They're shooting at 1/2-inch plates of steel that are completely encasing this entire thing, right? This entire thing. So yeah, the entire operator cage of this bulldozer has been walled over top to bottom, completely encased in steel sheeting and concrete. So Cody gets a front end loader. You know, it's one of those things with like the big wide bucket in it for picking up dirt or whatever, and like loading it into a truck. And he goes at the dozer with it, trying to get the bucket underneath it to like kind of try to like tip it, maybe get it on its side. But he just ends up like raising himself up in the loader instead. And it has absolutely no effect on this dozer. Marv had mounted a .50 caliber rifle facing out of the back of the dozer, and it shoots a bunch of rounds at Cody in the loader.
Oh my God.
Fortunately, all the bullets hit the bucket, and Cody's okay, but he backs off, obviously, because now he's being fired at. And now the cops are showing up. More cops are showing up, right, in force. And Marv completely destroys the batch plant building.
Oh.
And the cops pull out more and bigger guns. And again, they're useless.
Oh my God.
And Marv is shooting back at them. Now he's shooting back at the cops. And he turns the dozer to start moving towards a line of them. They're hiding behind like a row of Jersey barriers, which are like those concrete barriers that go like between highways directions and stuff. Yep. And he plows right through those barriers like they're nothing.
Oh, shit. He has a tank.
Yes. He leaves the concrete plant, rolling over an unmarked police car along the way. Oh and so God. So now he's on the highway going into town.
Sorry. It's not fun. It's not funny.
No, but it's insane, right?
Yes.
You're picturing it, but
yes.
Here's the deal. This was 2004. This was so like, anyway, there's lots of video footage of this day.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking is like breaking news, live coverage of a tank bulldozer going down the highway.
Right, like 2 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, shit.
Exactly. So the police are scrambling to start evacuating the town, and they're continuing to follow Marv, and they're trying to figure out how to stop him. So one of them does manage to climb on top of the thing, right?
Oh,
and
God.
So he's like going down the road, and there's this like plainclothes officer like riding on top of it, and he's looking for a way to get in, and there's nothing to open.
Oh,
he's like sealed himself inside this thing. So all he found was like a vent like you'd find on the top of an RV or whatever where AC comes out, just like a circle vent with like, and so he shoots at that and it doesn't really do anything, but he does get the vent cover off. So they throw some flashbangs down the vent hole.
But
like there's no effect. It does nothing.
Oh my
So he hangs out on top of that thing for a while until Marv gets to his next target, which was Mountain Parks Electric, where he once again demolished a building by just driving into it over and over and over again. While a crowd of cops and townspeople just stood there watching, helpless to do anything about it.
What are they going to do?
Right.
Oh.
So then he headed to town hall, because of course he did.
Mm-hmm.
Town hall was on the second floor of the building that they were in. And the first floor was actually the public library.
Okay, what did the library do to you, Marv? Nothing.
It was right. Well, it was evacuated of the librarians and the children just in the nick of time. And he drives around to the back of the building, runs over and demolishes the playground before ramming into town hall.
Okay, this guy fucking sucks.
So he destroyed that building.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. And so this whole time they're trying to figure out how is he navigating inside this thing. They're just like these tiny little windows he's built into this steel box, and they're covered in Lexan, which is basically a really like a stronger version of plexiglass, but they're like 2 inches by 4 inches big, and there's only like a couple of them.
Huh.
And they're like, how is he even seeing to drive? And as he's leaving town hall on his way to his next target, literally a front and rear parade of law enforcement that's like accompanying him. They finally realize it's cameras. He has cameras. He has like 5 cameras mounted in this thing, and they're pointing out of these tiny windows, and they're feeding into monitors inside. And it turns out he also rigged the whole system of cameras with compressed air and hoses so he could like blow the dust and debris off of the Lexan. Like as he's destroying things and collecting, because like by the second or third building, like he's roaming through town. There's literally like chunks of building and debris like on top of this thing and everything, because he's just like, I mean, there's no right like.
This
so he
feels
can still
so Unabomber adjacent in the sense that like the genius that went into that. And this is what you're using your genius on. Like, this guy sounds like he could go work for fucking NASA with his engineering. Yep. And this is what you're going to do? You're going to bulldoze a tiny town?
Yep.
What a fucking waste.
Yep.
Oh, my God, Marv.
Yep.
Okay.
So he took out the Sky High news offices, just collapses the whole thing with repeated rammings of the dozer. And, of course, the Thompsons are on his list.
Oh, yeah. Fuck them.
Mm-hmm. So more cops with more big guns try shooting at the dozer to no effect as he nears the Thompsons' shop. But instead, he goes into a residential neighborhood.
Oh, no.
To the house where the Thompson brothers' elderly mother lives. She got out of the house about 30 minutes before Marv completely destroys her house.
God damn it. Fuck this guy.
And then he took out trailers and trucks and other buildings on various properties, all belonging to the Thompsons.
Mm-hmm.
And so by this time, basically the whole town is standing up on this ridge, looking down on this insanity below, watching Marv move through their town like a tornado with a literal hit list, right? God. And yes, helicopters, like newscopters, news vans, like this is because, I mean, he's moving at like 3 miles an hour or whatever, right? And this is like...
yeah.
He started this, I don't know, like 2:00 in the afternoon. So it's like, you know, hours have gone by at this point, or at least a couple, right? At least a couple. So like, it's like everyone who can get there to capture this story has started to arrive.
It's total fucking chaos. Yeah.
Yeah. So then he heads out to Independent Gas, which is a huge property in town with rows and rows and rows of industrial sized propane tanks.
Uh-oh.
Like the size of railroad cars.
Holy shit.
That size of tanks. And this property is right next to neighborhoods and an elder care facility and shit, right? And he starts shooting at the tanks with incendiary rounds.
No.
Now, if you don't know, an incendiary round is a bullet that contains a chemical, and when it hits a hard surface, it will cause a fire or set flammable materials in the area on fire.
Oh, no.
He is clearly trying to blow up these propane tanks.
Yeah.
But he was unable to get a good shot with the 50 caliber that was mounted on the back because the ripper, which is this big metal attachment that's used to puncture and like rip hard soil, it's part of like what a lot of bulldozers come with. It was hitting the ground, and so it was keeping the bulldozer up at such an angle that the rounds were just firing back into its own armor and like ricocheting back on itself.
Oh, there's a flaw in his system here.
There was a flaw in his system. So now the police are calling for more outside help, right? I think at this point, the county sheriff is there, like their whole department is there. The town cops are obviously there. I think state troopers are there. So then, and a peacekeeper on a flatbed was on its way, which is it's like a nickname for an armored vehicle that like police departments use.
A peacekeeper.
They call it a peacekeeper. I know. And a SWAT team was on the way, but they're asking dispatch to send them like helicopters and to, you know, give the National Guard a ring-a-ding to send help.
Can you give a ring-a-ding to the National Guard?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So while they're waiting for backup, someone decides to bring out a big earth mover. It's often called a scraper. It comes from they use them at the landfill, and it's a big, heavy-duty piece of equipment. And Marv is trying to leave Independent Gas. He gave up. He couldn't get the tanks to blow up, so he's leaving and he's going back towards town. And the earth mover shows up to cut him off at the pass, and Merv is just shoves this thing out of his way like it's nothing. It does nothing. It doesn't even slow him down.
That was probably the biggest thing they could find, right? And it's just like
that's like probably the biggest piece of machinery that whole town has. Yeah.
Oh my God. And it might as well be a bicycle.
Yep. Exactly.
Fuck. Oh my
exactly.
God.
So a cloud of smoke starts billowing out of the dozer, which indicates a huge antifreeze leak. So now he can't see as well because there's this smoke like forming around the whole dozer. And so he's just plowing through the front of buildings while he's trying to steer himself down the street. He like, you know, is going at them like along the front as he's trying to steer back to where he needs to go, or where he needs to go, quote unquote, right? And he's trying to steer himself to Gamble's, which is a family store, like a family-owned store, because the guy who owned Gamble's was also one of these men that were
snickering at him. Okay. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, those guys deserve it too. So the engine's overheating and he's losing power, and he's trying to do as much damage to Gamble's as he can before this dozer craps out on him. And so he goes around the front of it, and then he takes a hard right, and he does a pass along the side wall. So the blade is pushing along the side wall. What he didn't know, and what a lot of people didn't know, was that the back half of Gamble's building actually had a basement. So once he got to a certain point, the right side treads of the dozer actually like sunk into the void of the basement. And now it's like it's bottomed out and the dozer can't move anymore.
Joke's on you. Wow.
So the dozer's stuck, and then it gets turned off. It shuts down. And everyone who's around it, the cops and their guns or whatever, are pulled, and they kind of pull back. They aim their weapons at it. They're like waiting. They're kind of expecting a shootout, right? Like that's the next step, right? So then they hear the sound of one lone gunshot.
Oh no.
So SWAT is here. Now they're trying to get in. They're using explosives over and over, and nothing is happening. And they finally had to bring in a cutting torch, and they spend the rest of the evening and through the night cutting into this thing. And they finally gain entry to recover Marv's body around 2 a.m. Marvin Heemeyer had killed himself with a single gunshot wound to the head.
Oh.
That day, Ronald Reagan died. That afternoon, the day after all this. And so all the news coverage of the incident just stopped because a president died.
Right.
The dozer was torn up and the pieces disposed of separately, so no one could have it all in one place to have a shrine to this asshole.
Right.
In addition to 3 cassette tapes that he mailed to his brother before he set off on his reign of terror over Granby, he also had writings all over the walls inside the shop where he stored and worked on the dozer, including his list of people and places he would target on his rampage.
Holy shit.
The estimated total damages to the town of Granby was $7 million.
Oh my God. It's like the whole fucking town.
But it turns out, after Marv sold all that equipment and then the property, he doled out all his money over time to his dad to be shared with him and his siblings. So his estate was completely empty by the time he died, and the town had no recourse for recuperating any of those damages.
Oh, sneaky fucker.
I will leave you with a quote from Marv found on the inside of the shop.
Okay.
I was willing to be reasonable until I had to be unreasonable. Sometimes reasonable men must do unreasonable things.
Okay. I wouldn't call that just unreasonable. Too far.
And that is the story of Marvin John Heemeyer, a.k.a. Killdozer, who is a hero to a whole bunch of libertarians.
Okay. Fuck, sister. That was bananas.
That was chaotic, right?
That was, yeah, I think so. I say sissy trip to that town next year.
I don't know.
No? I want to check it out. I want to check out this grocery store that took down a bulldozer.
So if you want to get more on that whole story, there is the reason why I knew about the story is because Jake and I years ago, actually a couple years ago now, we watched a documentary about it on Prime. It's called Tread. And it is now, it used to be on Prime as a free movie, but in order to rewatch it and take notes, when I was going back to work on the story, I had to rent it for a few dollars. But yeah, you can get more info on the people who are left behind and their take on how things went down leading up to and during the rampage. And also, if you go and just Google Marvin Heemeyer or Killdozer, you will find all kinds of images and video of that day because, like I said, it was very well documented.
Oh my God. That might be the most chaotic thing I've ever heard. I don't have a prize ready. I wasn't prepared for this. Good for you though. What the fuck? Jesus Christ.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I don't even have, now I'm speechless, which is weird. I don't even know what to say to that. God, it's almost like fucking King Kong or something. Like, what are you doing? You know? Wow.
Yeah.
Good one,
well,
sister.
you know, if I just PSA, if you feel like you're having an actual conversation with God and God is actually talking to you, please seek out someone else to give you some support.
Yeah.
And help, because pretty sure God wasn't talking to Marv, and I'm pretty sure God didn't want him to demolish the town of Granby, Colorado.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah. Wow. That's sad and spooky and all the things. Thank you for sharing that.
You are so welcome.
Fuck. Well, on that note, do you have anything else for the good of the order?
I mean, per usual, I'll just plug my Twitter feed because it's the random musings of Naomi, which if that's something you're into, you can go find me on the Twitters. I'm at Missnomers, MISSGNOMERS. Don't be disappointed if some of it looks like I'm, promoting the place that I work at, because I am, because we're working very hard over there. But I also do just, tweet whatever. So you might get something fun out of it.
You'll always get something fun out of Missnomers, and you can go check out Neon Media and all the things.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah, fuck yeah. And we'll link that in the show notes too. Well, I got nothing, sister, other than I feel like I've been up for almost 24 hours because I have.
Yep.
I'm going to do the thing that I am usually really against, which is eat and go to bed in
Yep.
exactly that order. I'm going to do that.
I love that for you. I approve this message.
Thank
I endorse this. Yeah.
Thank you. That's the only message on this show that is approved. Don't bulldoze things. Let's just calm down.
I mean,
Yeah, fucking Marv. Well,
yeah.
I sure love you.
I love you too. Thanks for a good time, Sissy.
Always. This was really motherfucking
Chaotic.
chaotic. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Jeez, sister. What the fuck?
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Crime, Wine, and Chaos. Artwork by Erica Peterson. Music by Paul Abner. Audio editing by Amber Clifton. We are on Facebook at Crime, Wine, and Chaos and on Instagram at Crime, Wine, and Chaos Pod. If you would like to support the show or submit a listener story, you can visit our website at crimewineandchaos.com for our Patreon link and listener story submission. Cheers!